Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. In the first hour of the broadcast, I'm going to give you content, information for better sex, more money, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice, more strategies and gambits for having it all. The second hour is what I'm most excited about. It's when I get a chance to chat with you. Yes, you. Where you can call in, talk to me, ask me questions. And if you say the secret word of the day, you could win $5,000 cash. At the very least, if you're the most interesting call of the day, you could also win 10 ounces of freshly minted Marshall Sylver 999 Fine Silver. All of that and more. Brand new Mercedes-Benz sedan or SUV up for grabs. My personal Rolls-Royce Phantom up for grabs. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information about its release coming up. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. I'm Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker.
Let me bring in our hypnotist, Marshall Sylver.
It's Marshall Sylver, ladies and gentlemen, the world's fastest hypnotist.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 16 of Marshall Sylver Live. So glad to be with you. I am excited. Today's show, we've got $13,000 up for grabs. 13,000. Let me see if we get a 13,000. We're in a new setup, by the way. So if we have any technical difficulties, get over it already. Heck, I'm just Marshall Sylver. Facebook, Instagram, everybody else is having challenges today. So I guess I'm the same. We're going to be working with those technical challenges as we go on. They gave me an option of not getting on the air. We got some weird shadow inside of this, and they said we can either postpone the show or you can go on and deal with what you're dealing with. And I said, you know what? Let's deal with what we're dealing with, because that's kind of life. And I want everybody to recognize the fact that everything's not always perfect. In fact, usually things aren't perfect. You got to deal with what emerges. And if nothing else, what I want to do for you is helping you on every single day find a way to win, because ultimately that's what you want to do. Hey, I was looking at the chats and I am so grateful to all of you. You are loved, and I love how much you love my bride. I love how much you care about Erica, and I love how much you care about me and my family. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. To report, Erica is doing awesome. She's not actually with me. I'm in Las Vegas doing First Million Irresistible Influence. Stepped away from the seminar to come be with you for a couple of hours. But she's back with our family in San Diego. Maximus has baseball. Sterling has parkour. Prosperity has gymnastics and music and piano. And yeah, they're busy. So I'm here being the leader of the family, making sure that we can all eat and have two houses, fly around in private jets and driving a Rolls Royce. I'm just, taking care of the basics, baby. So at any rate, today we have no guests, so you get me for an hour, and then in the second hour of the program, I'm going to start taking your calls at studiomoney.info/live guests. If you want to get on the show and take your shot at $13,000 worth of secret money cash, do that. We also have, as we always do every single day, 10 ounces of pure silver up for grabs. 10 ounces of pure silver up for grabs. I've already given away 160 ounces of that pure silver. You can take a look at that silver bar right here. Isn't it beautiful? Take a look. It's right there. It's right there. It's coming. Oh, yeah. Magic. So, yeah, 10 ounces of pure silver up for grabs. All you got to do is be the most interesting person on the show today besides me. And if you are voted by your peers to be the most interesting person, you're going to win 10 ounces of pure silver. Marshall Sylver. I was thinking that we haven't done this on the show yet. We're on episode 16. We haven't done this. I have something that I call martial law, and it's laws to live by. And I wanted to go over martial law. I think it's a good foundation for all of you today and give you some really powerful ideas of things that you can do. And so if you've got a pencil and a piece of paper or something to take notes on, you're going to want to take notes during this portion of the broadcast, because a lot of this foundational knowledge is very solid and will instantaneously put a massive change on your day. Yeah, I'm looking at my picture and gosh, what the heck is going on here? Not quite sure. So at any rate, Anthony Hernandez, so glad you're with me. Victoria, welcome. So rule number 1 in martial law is no whining, no complaining. Offer a solution. I have a very specific agreement with the people in my life. We don't do drama. And if you need to whine or complain and you don't offer a solution, then you're just a whiner or a complainer. Your life is not. Yeah, I know everything's purple tinted. It's my favorite color. If you're just whining and complaining and pointing out fault without a solution, there's no victory there. Nobody's ever going to win with you, and you're never going to win. I also know that part of the challenge for people is they think if they point out what's wrong, they can get to what's right. And that's not how it works. Nature abhors a vacuum. So if you point out what's wrong without offering a solution, guess what happens? You get more of the same thing, because you kick out the challenge, you kick out the thing that you were pointing out wasn't effective, and it comes back bigger, stronger, and worse than ever. So, yep, today we'll deal with it. We were having some camera challenges. We're having some connectivity challenges all over the world. But it's okay. One of the other things you've got to keep in mind, when you don't whine, you just start looking for the solution. You start looking for the outcome. And by looking for the outcome and not whining, you end up finding it. How remarkable is that? I have a great team that works for me. They do my social media. They handle a bunch of the things that we do. And so when one of the posts come up on social media, while it is my idea and certainly my team working on it, it's not always exactly my voice. And because my team's brand new and they're doing a phenomenal job, sometimes you got to nudge your team. And the other day we did a post, and I came across the post. I hadn't seen it before it was posted. And the post was asking the question, what's the biggest heartache you've ever experienced in relationship? And when I saw the post, I didn't say anything. A couple of minutes later, my wife messaged me and she said, "Did you see this post?" And I said, "I did." She said, "What do you think?" I said, "What do you think?" She said, "That's not your voice." She said, "You would never say that." I said, "I know I would never say that." And what she meant was, it was asking, what's the worst thing that's ever happened to you in relationship? And frankly, I don't care. I don't care what the worst thing that ever happened to you in your life is. I don't care. In fact, my motto is, and you can write this down, so what, now what? Because that's the truth. Your mom left doo-doo in your diaper for 3 days. Change your diaper. You're an adult. You can do it on your own now. I was married twice before my one true wife. Nobody cares that I had 2 marriages that didn't turn out the way that I had intended them to do. And nobody cares about your past that didn't work out the way that you wanted it to. What they care about is right now. What they care about is, what are you doing right now to make your life better? Most of your challenges that you think are big, they're tiny, 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 tiny. They're not big at all. In fact, some challenges, if you just flat out ignore them, they just go away. They solve themselves. And so your challenge is to not fall into the drama. Your challenge is to figure out how to learn a lesson inside of whatever's going on and not do it again. Life will teach you lessons. The lessons will get harder until you've learned them. And you will know that you've learned your lesson when you finally change your action. Brooklyn Beauty Beach says, "Wow, I can see you're doing great with your weight loss goal, looking good." Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, I am. In fact, I have news to report. Haven't chatted with you since Friday, and we're in this journey together. So I'd like my journey to also be your journey. Yes, I'm doing phenomenal with the weight loss. We're down to actually 240. And so that was almost 4.5 pounds over the weekend that I took off over the weekend. How am I doing it? Well, I'll tell you right now, I am very hungry. I'm very hungry, except I don't eat until the show is over. I'm doing intermittent fasting. And so I don't eat until noon. And then I stop eating right around 7 o'clock on normal days. Every once in a while, I'll have a business meeting running long. And so it may negate that, except as a rule, generally only noon till about 7 o'clock do I eat. And one of the things that I've discovered as I went on this program about a month ago is that when I don't eat and I'm hungry for a long time, when I finally do eat, I don't eat as much because my stomach has shrunk. I don't eat as much. I'm satisfied a whole lot quicker. And so one of the things that you want to do is realize that until you can get your body to actually experience hunger, you're not going to lose any weight. You're not going to burn any calories. And so one of the things that I've done is learn to fall in love with the sensation that we call hunger. I have a friend of mine. He's incredibly fit. He's really good with the ladies. And one day we were talking and I was chatting with him. I said, what do you suppose is one of the reasons that you are so good with women? And he said, I always have this lean and hungry look on my face. He says, I always look like I'm ready to eat them up. And he said, you might think that'd be a bad thing, except what it does, it creates massive charisma because they can see it in my eyes that I'm hungry. And I thought about that, lean and hungry. My wife complimented me. I sent her a picture of the scale this morning, and she said, congratulations. It's a process. Sometimes people say, is it hard? It's not difficult. It's different. You just have to change not what you do. You must change who you are. So rule number 1, no whining without offering a solution. If you want to point out something's not working, awesome, point it out. And then say, this is what would make it work. I was chatting with some friends yesterday at lunch. We were talking about different things. I mentioned that I was married to a woman that if I would say, let's go have dinner, she'd say, fine. I'd say, reservations are at 7. Let's leave at 6:30. 6:20 would come along, and I could tell she wasn't near ready. And I'd say, are we going to be ready to go? Yeah, I'm moving as fast as I can. Okay, well, I told you 2 hours ago that we were leaving at 6:30. So, could we just make sure we leave? And then it'd be 6:30. She wouldn't be ready. 6:40. She wouldn't be ready. 10 till 7 o'clock when the reservations are. I'm calling up the restaurant saying we're going to be late and ready whenever she's ready. And again, that's irresponsible. My wife, Erica, I can say, hey, you want to go to dinner? Yes. When do you want to leave? 10 minutes. Okay. She gets ready. She gets ready on time. She looks stunning every single time. And, some people might not think that's a big deal, that it's a little teeny tiny thing. It's just little. It's major to me. I like being on time. My wife's on time. My daughter, even more so. My daughter, Prosperity, she's so funny. She'll say, what time are we leaving? Like half an hour beforehand. And I'll say, we're going to leave at 3:30. And she'll say, okay, it's 3 o'clock right now, right? Yes, honey, it's 3 o'clock. And then it'll be 3:15. What time are we leaving? I said, we're still leaving at 3:30. Well, then we got 15 minutes. And then 5 minutes later, we got 10 minutes, Dad. We got 5 minutes. She's just very time specific. And here's one of the things that time specific will do for you. If you are late, if you say you're going to meet somebody, or worse, a group of people, and you show up late, what you're saying is your time is more valuable than the other person's time. Your time is more valuable if you're meeting a group than all of the group combined. And so I don't know about anybody else, but if somebody starts off and the beginning of that encounter is them being late and disrespectful, I kind of figure that's their personality. So rule number 1, no whining. Rule number 2, come from a spirit of fun in all things. Figure out a way to make things enjoyable. I have an amazing family. We went and saw a really cool show, which I would like to recommend to you. It's called The Thorn. It is about the life of Christ, and we saw it over the weekend. I want to warn you, it's graphic. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's Cirque du Soleil meets the Bible, and it's a phenomenal show. I highly recommend it. At any rate, the crucifixion and the lashes are graphic. You see the blood flying. You see the cuts in the actor's flesh. It's intense. At any rate, we went to see the show, and I had 2 sisters that joined me, and they drove a different car. So we go to the parking lot, we park our cars, we go see the show. After the show, I decided to take them to dinner. And when I went to take them to dinner, we just took an Uber to go to dinner, so we didn't have to pull the cars out of the garage. Coming back to the garage, I said, where's your car parked, sister? She said, I don't know. I don't know what level. It's an 8-story parking structure. I said, you don't know what floor you're parked on? How are you going to find your car? Oh, I'll just find it. I came in on this street and it's parked right there. And I said, which street did you come in on? She said, well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I By the way, we've got somebody on the chat who you may not know what you're doing, but you're obnoxious. Knock it off. You keep commenting on things that are negative. You're doing the exact opposite of what I'm teaching you. And if you don't want to leave the lesson, either you can learn to be polite or we're going to boot you. You know who you are. Everybody else sees your posts. Knock it off. So no, my real sisters, Frank, my siblings. So she didn't know where her car was. So ultimately, I got my car. I had to get out of my car when it was out of the lot, go back into the parking structure, and inside the parking structure, keep pressing her alarm until we could go through all 8 levels and get her car. And my point in all of this is I was massively irritated. Rightfully so. Anybody else probably would have given me credit for being irritated, except it's my sister, and I love her. And no, I didn't think it was a smart thing not to pay attention to where you parked. Take a picture of the wall, for goodness sakes. You'll know where you are. Yeah, that person that I just spanked, you just laughed. They're going to boot you out of the room. They're going to ban you actually from this broadcast. You keep it up. We don't do that here. Well, it's the first time I've had to do that, except you got to nip things in the bud, because if you nip things in the bud, guess what? They stop. So come with a spirit of fun. Make sure that you're adding fun to the process. Next, number 3, know your weaknesses and focus on your strengths. Might seem kind of weird coming from me after I've said what I just said, to know your weaknesses. You got to know your weaknesses. I am really good at big pictures. I'm not phenomenal at the process of taking care of the details. So I hire people around me to take care of details. And when I hire people around me to take care of details, it's my acknowledgement, my admission, those aren't things I'm great at. I am not great at holidays. I don't frankly completely understand Christmas. I don't understand Valentine's Day. I don't even understand my birthday. Every day is my birthday. And as far as I'm concerned, every day is my wife's birthday and my kids' birthdays. When you start coming at things from a spirit of fun and you understand what your weaknesses and strengths are, then what you'll be able to do is start focusing on the things that work, let go of the things that do not. And when you do that, you'll start creating a more powerful presence. Next, number 4, blast through your fears. That which we experience fully vanishes. That which we experience fully vanishes. There was a point where I realized my daughter was sitting on my lap and she was talking to me and she patted my belly and she said, "Daddy, is there a baby inside there?" And I realized it was time to step on the scale. I hadn't stepped on the scale for a long time. I stepped on the scale, and when I stepped on the scale, I realized I was at 268 pounds. 268 pounds, the biggest I've ever been. And I said, it's time to get busy. So I got busy, and like I said, we're right about 240 right now. And the power of understanding how to blast through your fears is I didn't get angry at myself. I didn't say, you lazy, fat son of a gun. I said, no, this is where I am. This is where I want to be. I'm going down to 199. And I said, what do you need to do to go to 199? First and foremost, you got to eat what a person that weighs 199 pounds eats. You got to move like a person that weighs 199 pounds moves. That's how you become a person that weighs whatever it is you want to weigh. And so rather than letting your fears own you, what you got to do is blast through them. And when you blast through them, what happens is they vanish. That which we experience fully vanishes. Sometimes people don't ask their spouse how the marriage or the relationship is going. And if you don't, you might find out after not asking for a while that it is bad. I see I've got a great friend. This is a blessing to me. Pablo Lemberg, my friend Paul Lemberg, travels all over the world. Paul is amazing, great man. A lot of the people that you learn from have learned from Paul Lemberg. So thank you so much. Glad you're on the show. Glad you can listen. My guess is you're probably down in Brazil or some amazing country having a phenomenal time. No, there's no filter, Tom, on the camera. Nothing on the hood. I adjusted it for 2 hours and I cannot figure out where this weird light is coming from. We'll figure it out, but it's part of the lesson today, so we'll deal with it. Number 5, seek personal alterations. What does that mean? Write this down. In order for things to change, you must change. In order for things to change, you must change. The world won't change. We got a phenomenal Supreme Court ruling yesterday, 9-0, that the states can't keep Trump off the ballot. And I thought that was an amazing thing. I thought it was a great thing, especially since somebody has not been convicted of anything. Lord knows if you get accused of something and we treat you of like that which you were accused of, you were guilty of, just about everybody would be absolutely in trouble. So that was a phenomenal thing to have happen. I've had a lot of conversations because we're in the midst of a very high-end seminar with people about what is happening in the world right now and how do you deal with what's happening in the world. One of my personal alterations is I have a really tough time with injustice. I don't like injustice. When I was a kid, my father accused me of stealing something from him that I hadn't stolen, and it destroyed our entire relationship. From that point forward, since I was 7 years old, I didn't have a relationship with my dad. So I have a really hard time when I see injustice going on. I have a big scar on the back of my head. 3 guys were robbing a Jack in the Box fast food restaurant when I was 17 years old. I saw there were only women working behind the counter. I realized that they couldn't defend themselves against these 3 guys. And so I went back to the counter and I attempted to talk the guys out of harassing the women. They picked up a broomstick that was leaning against the wall and they broke it over my head. I don't like injustice. And so part of the challenge that I have to do is when I see injustice happening, sometimes I have to stop, pause, breathe before I do anything, because my natural instinct is to jump in and fix whatever it is when I see that injustice going on. What's another personal alteration for me? I have to surrender and recognize that nobody is going to do it like I do it. And I think that's a good thing for all of you. I think a lot of you don't realize you're probably going to be let down by most people, especially if you're a person of excellence. You're going to consistently see people that just aren't measuring up. You're going to see people that aren't performing well. You're going to see people that aren't doing what needs to be done. Again, I love my sister. Yes, I think it's a ridiculous thing that a full-grown adult doesn't notice where they were parked. It's not a reflection on her, and I pray she doesn't do it every single time. I pray that my dissatisfaction was just enough to let her know, I love you. I'm going to help you find your car. I won't help you find it again. You've got to take responsibility for that. You got to seek personal alterations. So right now I want you to ponder, and I want you to stop and think about what might be holding you back in any area that's 100% on you. I'll give you one more. It's a little more subtle. I have been on stage since I was 7 years old. I have had the great joy of entertaining people in my youth. And then as I matured, I became a public speaker and a trainer and a coach. I'm still a trainer and a coach and a speaker, and I love it. As you can tell, I'm having more fun probably than anybody that ever watches the broadcast. That said, though, I have a hard time not being on stage at my own events. When I book another speaker to be on stage, I have to leave the room. Because if I don't leave the room, what happens is all I want to do is interject. I want to shout things out. I want to add additional value. So I just leave the room so that I don't tempt myself into doing that. I also know that it's a major Achilles heel, that in order to turn this into a $1 billion enterprise and not a $100 million enterprise, that I've got to learn how to let other people do what I do not as well as I do it. So if I can find somebody that can do what I do half as well as I do it, then it's only going to get done half as well. But if I find 3 people, guess what? It's done at 150% of my own ability all by myself. Plus, I have all my time completely free. Seems little, but it's big. Next, seek constant improvement. Always seek to do it better. This is the first time I've ever used this rig for our podcast. This is the rig at Prosperity Palace, my home in Las Vegas. It's the first time. Last night, I turned everything on. Everything seemed to be working just fine. This morning, I woke up early, came in, put the teleprompter on the lens, and I've been getting this weird color. You can see my neck looks normal. My face is extremely pink. Maybe all the alien content I've been consuming lately. But the bottom line is that you've got to constantly seek improvement. So right now, while the show's going on, I'm not going to touch the settings because Lord knows with my tech abilities, I touch the settings, the camera goes out, the mic gets messed up, and we've got no show whatsoever. So today is going to be one of those some is better than none kind of shows. What else in your life do you need to take a look at and say some is better than none? You got a book in mind? Write a word. You wrote a word, great, write a sentence. Got a sentence, write a paragraph. Got a paragraph, write a chapter, write a book. What else could you do some of and seek constant improvement? I am losing fat right now. The weight's starting to come off my body. I'm actually noticing that every day I stay with the program and stay true, it actually starts melting off faster and faster, almost as if my body has remembered how to take the fat off. Months ago, when I realized that I wanted to take the fat off, I starved myself. I worked out incessantly, and I didn't lose any weight whatsoever. So I said, something's amiss in my body. It's not going into ketosis. It's not burning the fat. It's becoming extremely efficient. So part of the challenge of seeking that constant improvement is you're likely to stumble upon things that flat out don't work. Again, this is the 4th week. This is episode 16 of our live daily broadcast. And a live broadcast versus a podcast, something that was pre-recorded, cut up, edited, then put out to the general public for consumption, there's a big distinction between the two. And one of the distinctions is this kind of stuff. One of the distinctions is in a live environment, things go wrong. In a pre-recorded environment, they can be corrected if they go wrong. In a live environment, things go wrong. When I was a kid, I became a magician at 7 years old. And before I became interested in magic, magic was quite popular on television. One of the greatest magicians of my time, of my generation, was a man named Mark Wilson. And Mark Wilson did this magic TV show called Mark Wilson's Magic Circus. And every single time I would see his show, I loved it. It was amazing. This magician named Doug Henning came along, and there was a period of time where magic was not well received on television. And the reason magicians, prestidigitators, magic was not well received on television is people understood that there were camera tricks, and people understood that they could be deceived simply by technology. And so magic wasn't as amazing as it used to be. So Doug Henning comes along and he has this idea. He says, what if we did a live show? We can't use camera tricks if it's a live show. The general public will then know that we're actually doing real magic here. So he does a live show, and his first special in 1976 was massively well received. In fact, it was one of the best received television programs of the entire year. And so he realized he was onto something. The next season came along, and he did another live special. And in the second live special, some things went awry. They went wrong. And because it was live television, the mistakes went out to millions of people watching the show live. Third special, same thing. The other thing that Henning would do is he would do his live special. And when he did his live special, he would go out and tour that next year before the next special, the following year, using the magic tricks that he did in his special. Well, the challenge is the entire audience had seen it already. They saw it on his special. So by the time they saw it live, he was doing old stuff. Then along came a man named David Copperfield. Copperfield had a different idea. He said, we're going to pre-record the specials to make sure everything goes well. We're going to add things that can be added to it to, make it very cool because it's pre-recorded. But he said, in order to solve that dilemma of people not believing it, thinking there might be camera tricks, what we're going to do is we'll bring James Earl Jones in, a very strong voice of authority. We'll bring James Earl Jones in, the voice of Darth Vader, and we'll have him say, ladies and gentlemen, the magic you're about to see is exactly what you would see if you were here live in our studio audience. So he was able to bridge that. In addition, his touring strategy was the opposite of what Henning was doing. He would do his special, then he would do his tour, and his tour would be all these magic effects, magic tricks that weren't in the special. He would work out the bugs. He would make sure he worked out the routines, make them as good as possible. Then once they were as refined as could be, put them into his TV special. Rehearse, review, revise. Next, and this is really important. In fact, this is where major things will happen. Number 7, form alliances. Form alliances. Yeah, I spanked somebody earlier. And if you're listening, you'll realize I spanked you because you're loved. And the way that you were addressing me is not just on this, it's the way you've addressed me outside of this. In fact, if I were to post some of the private messages you've sent me, the rest of the people watching the show would be appalled. And I say, be the same in the light as you are in the dark. Be exactly the same in the light as you are in the dark. And when you start doing that and you start forming alliances, people want to support you. They want to assist you. They want to give you the kinds of support that you seek. But if you don't form alliances, guess what? You'll never know. How do you form alliances? Number one, be kind. Just be kind. We were flying. I was flying by myself on Sunday from our beach house to our Vegas home. Normally, if the family's coming with me, I'll just charter a plane. When I travel by myself, I don't want to. I have a lot of money, and I don't want to spend $15,000 to fly just me from California to Nevada, which, because of Joe Biden and the administration jacking up gas prices, that's how much it costs. So there's another service, a local service, that flies 30-seat planes out of private terminals called JSX. Phenomenal service. And so I took a JSX flight, had other people that I didn't know on the flight. I'm standing as we land in Vegas to get off the plane. The people behind me strike up a conversation. They said, what would be the best way for us to go over to this hotel on the Strip? And I said, the best way would be to grab an Uber, although I don't mind driving you. My team is picking me up at the airport. We'll be happy to give you a lift over to where you're going. And he said, sure. And we hadn't even exchanged names at that point. So we exchanged names. I give him a ride. He and his wife a ride to where they were going to. A little later, he messages me. He said, I Googled you. You're somebody. I said, well, to myself, for sure. That is true. He said, no, you've done a lot of things. And the fact that you didn't even ask for anything in return and you offered it up when you didn't have to, you were inconvenienced. He said, that says a lot about your character. Well, how cool will it be when people say that about you all the time? When you just offer to be of service? My son Sterling, frequently, when we're at a meal, lunch or dinner, when we're done eating, he'll stand up and he'll notice that I'm done eating and he'll say, Daddy, can I take your plate? Find ways to be of service. One of the greatest ways to form alliances is to consistently ask yourself, how can I support them? What can I do to assist them? And when you get out of your head and you stop being interesting and you start being interested, what happens is you start forming alliances. People start realizing that you're pouring into their emotional bank account. Stephen Covey, in his books, talks about this emotional bank account concept, where when you are consistently doing kind things and things of service for other people, you're actually making deposits in this emotional bank account. So that if something happens, maybe you make a mistake or you misjudge things or you accidentally fly off the handle, any number of things, because you've made so many deposits in that emotional bank account, you get a pass and you don't get judged and it doesn't destroy the relationship. Whereas if you hadn't poured into the emotional bank account and those things came up, that might be the end of the relationship. So form alliances. One of the things that I do is the biggest portion of my marketing is strategic alliances. It's me going to other people's events, getting on their stage. And because I have a unique set of skills, I close from the platform unlike anybody I know. I've not found anybody that closes better than me. This isn't ego speaking. It's a fact. And when I say better than me, I'm talking dollar amounts. If I meet somebody that closes better than me, guess what? I will be their best student. Because I have that skill set, so I can stand on other people's stages and I can make them a lot of money. And so for me, the bottom line is that I am consistently seeking ways to serve others. This entire broadcast, that's what it's about. I believe that we are in tumultuous times. I believe that there are a lot of things that are being revealed right now that are going to make this world better, except they're going to make it a whole lot worse first. I don't know if you saw down in Chile, they are dealing with the same things my friends over in Maui experienced. Houses burning down to the ground. Texas just had 300 or 400 structures burned to the ground. Governor Abbott just said on media, on the news, he just said, we don't know why these buildings are burning down. We don't know what's going on with all of this, but they're weird. The buildings are disintegrated. The building beside them isn't burned at all. The building beside and the lawn beside isn't burned at all. Yet this building is not only burned, there's no remnants left. It's disintegrated. Well, that's a do. That's a direct energy weapon. That's what that is. And nobody with a sane brain cell in their head would think anything different. And so, we've got things going on that without a voice of sanity, without somebody that's willing to tell the truth and take the consequence, nobody's going to win. Yeah, I don't like spanking people like I just spanked somebody on my show live. I don't like doing that. Except if you don't like being spanked, don't do things that people will spank you for. My son, my daughter, my sons, my daughter, I love them. And the hardest part to me about being a parent is disciplining. The hardest part is doing an unpopular thing because long term the kid will end up in a better place because you were willing to take the heat and be the bad guy to help them have a better life. Number 8, have a plan. You got to figure out where you're going. I mean, that may be the biggest lesson in all of this is that you've got to figure out what's your definite purpose. Napoleon Hill talks about it in Think and Grow Rich. He says, have a definite purpose. When I'm selling people, I always tell people, because we're in the middle of a sales seminar right now, Irresistible Influence. I tell people, you want to figure out what is your outcome and make sure that you are staying on track for your outcome. What does that mean? Make sure that you know your outcome because your buyer is going to want to talk about anything other than the thing you're selling. They're going to want to distract you about their kids and their recent trip and what's going on politically and, their favorite foods. It's distraction. So make sure that when you're selling for sure, you know what your outcome is. And then specifically in your life, what's the plan? And I want you to know that plans are distinct from dreams. If you have a thought and you say, gosh, I want that, that's a dream. When you write it down, it becomes physical. When you break it down and say, here are the steps, it becomes a plan. You're an author and you say, I've got this book inside of me. I want to write a book. And the first thing you want to do is say, okay, what's the book about? Well, the book's about this topic. Great. Now that I have a topic, what's a working title for the book? It can change, except you want to have a working title because that will paint the direction for everything else. Then you say, okay, I'm going to write this book. And you sit down and you start to write. At first, you don't write anything because it's not flowing. The book doesn't have much form. It's always hardest in the beginning. Except what you got to do is you got to tell yourself, I'm going to sit at my computer or wherever it is you write. I'm going to do that for an hour. And whether I write 1 word or 1,000 words, I'm going to write for an hour. And when you start doing that, what happens is it starts getting better and better and better. In addition to knowing your plan, I already talked about know your weaknesses. So I'll give you an example of one of my weaknesses. Back in the late 90s, I wrote a book called Passion, Profit, and Power. Simon & Schuster is the publisher. And when I got my contract from Simon & Schuster, they required the book be 300,000 words. So right around 300,000 words. And so I sit down at my computer, great intentions. They've already given me strong 6 figures as a book advance. I sit down at my computer and I start writing. And I write for 8 hours straight. I'm busting my butt. Book's due in 90 days. I'm busting my butt. I'm going to get it done. 8 hours later, I do a word count on the document that I just created, and it's 1,000 words. And I realize at this rate, I'm going to be here for 300 days. I'm not going to make my deadline. I'm going to have to give back my entire advance on my book. I'd already spent some of it. I didn't want to give it back. So I realized that strategy wasn't going to work. So I said, okay, what might work? And I said, well, what if you sat down with a recorder and all you did was started recording chapters, outline all the chapters. Here's the working title of the book. Here are each of the chapters. Here's their subject matter. Then sit down with the subject matter and just start talking into a microphone. At the end of that conversation with yourself into the microphone, take that recording to a transcriptionist, have them transcribe it, have them type it, and then bring it back to you. Because I realized that what was slowing me down wasn't my creative process, it was my typing ability. And while I'm a decent typist, I'm not that fast. And so by having them write the bulk of the book from my transcription, I was able to then come back and edit it down. So build a plan. Build a plan. Next, and you're going to hear me talk about this a lot on this live show. Be original. What does that mean? Write this down. UMP. Unique marketing proposition. Unique marketing proposition. What is a unique marketing proposition? It's sometimes called a unique selling proposition. USP, UMP. It is the thing that makes you different than everybody else. So this show is a good example. This show, what is the unique marketing proposition of this show? Well, there's a bunch of them. The first one is it's live. Why am I live? Well, I'm live for all the reasons I already told you. I like live. I like things that come up. I don't mind dealing with challenges. In fact, the fact that my face is almost the color of my shirt right now, while I wouldn't want it this way, I also want the lesson to be to you that it's not going to be perfect always. Some days are going to be funky. Some days the mic's going to be out of EQ. Some days the lights are not going to be functioning. Some days the computer's going to crash. Some days the streams are going to go out of business. Again, hell, if LinkedIn and Instagram and all the social media platforms that went down worldwide today, if they can have challenges with the amount of money that they have and the amount of value they hold, you're going to have challenges. So don't beat yourself up for it. We probably won't use a whole lot of this footage because, no, I don't like the way it looks, except the fact of the matter is the content's the same and the lessons are the same. And if me looking foolish for an episode while we figure out what technical challenge we're dealing with is enough to make you a better person and make your life better today, if you go out to your car and somebody, has egged the side of your car, yeah, it's not fun. It's not what you wanted. The fact of the matter is, though, you still got to deal with your day. Yeah, you're probably going to have to deal with paint peeling, too, because that's what eggs do to car paint. Except the car's not you. Nobody died. Nobody lost an arm. And it's just a physical, it's just a car. It's not a living entity. And so I think that part of the challenge with people in becoming original is they don't realize you got to find those unique things. So number one, this show is live. Number two, we give away thousands of dollars. We've already given away 160 ounces of pure silver. 160 ounces of pure silver. I've got 10 ounces of pure silver I'm going to give away guaranteed in the second hour. Plus, I got this itty bitty envelope with $13,000 in it. $13,000 for the secret word of the day. And if you say the secret word of the day, you win the cash instantly. Then we reset it and we'll start, putting the money up for grabs again. I want you to win the cash. Every day that the cash isn't given away, I add an additional $500 to it. So I don't care whether it's one today or tomorrow or a week from now, because it's the same amount of money to me. What makes this program unique is this program is about you. Once again, it's live and it's about you. Unlike a pre-recorded podcast that you listen to, maybe, this one, if you want to catch the content as it's being produced, you got to listen live. And then the second thing is it's an opportunity for you to call in, connect with me at studiomoney.info/live guests and get on the air. Oh, by the way, on that note, we're coming up to a quarter till the top of the hour where we'll start taking your calls. Every single time we do the show, the spaces for callers get filled. We can only take about usually 4 to 6 callers on a daily basis. So the people that jump in early are the ones that get on. If you have not yet gone to studiomoney.info to get yourself on the air, make sure you do that so that you get a chance to be on the air, potentially win 10 ounces of pure Marshall Sylver silver. And then finally, number 10, communication equals wealth. Communication equals wealth. What do I mean by that? You communicate in two ways only. You communicate internally. It's the 1,500 words per minute going through your brain, telling you who you are and who you aren't, what you can be, what you can do, what you can have. Those 1,500 words per minute will determine what comes out of your mouth and how it comes out of your mouth. As I mentioned to you, I've got a brand new social media team working hard to take care of me and give me a social media presence, promote this show, promote the other things we got going on. Every once in a while, I'll come across a post and I'll say, yeah, not quite on target, because the communication that we send out is very specific. Since we get back what we send out, if I send out something that I know is not specifically the communication that I want to send out, then what I've got to do is send something different out. And if something's sent out on my behalf, redirect it, remold it, re-guide it until it is. I told you one of the programs was, tell us about your biggest heartache. Well, that wouldn't be me. What I would say is, tell me how you experience love. Tell me the greatest thing that's ever happened to you in a relationship. Tell me what means love to you. Those would be things I would ask. They had another post. My team put up another post. The post they put up was day 1 is finally done of the seminar. Well, it's fairly innocent. I mean, it's not really bad. except it could be read that way. Oh my God, it's finally done. Or it could be construed that way. So what I told my team when I saw the post, I said, you guys are doing great. I appreciate it. 90% of your posts are spot on. Here's one that's not. And here's the reason it's not. If you say finally done, it implies that I couldn't wait to get through it, which is not the case. I love teaching. And heck, I could do this show for 8 hours a day if I thought you were interested. So I said, what about we say today's event was massive. We had great breakthroughs, great conclusion to an awesome day. And so even though it may seem that you're communicating what you want, if you're not getting back what you want, guess what? It's because you're not bouncing, you're not echoing something that you want to hear in return. External communication to the outside world, that is called programming. A lot of people think that I am just talking and I'm waiting for a reaction. I want an opinion. I want some feedback. That's not what communication is. AI is huge right now. Everybody is, getting excited about what AI can do for us. And yeah, it's exciting. It's also scary. I saw Terminator. In fact, I almost didn't have kids because of Terminator. And people say, what does that mean? I said, I have in my life seen numerous circumstances of what you might call alternate beings or aliens from another world. I've seen UFOs on numerous occasions, and I'm not talking about a speck out in the universe. I'm talking about something close enough for me to not only see the shape, to also see other distinctive factors of the thing I was looking at. I've said this before, and I'll say it again because it's going to come out. More and more people are beginning to recognize that our government has been hiding information from us. It's been hiding crashed aircraft, spaceships. It is hiding alien beings from other dimensions, let alone other places in the galaxy and the universe that have been recovered here, both living and dead, both. I'm not a crackpot. I'm not crazy. If you think I am, I'm cool with that. I don't mind. The truth will set us free. And soon enough, I believe those truths are going to start to be revealed to us. So because of that, I didn't want to have kids. I didn't want my children to, have to deal with what could be a threatening circumstance. And then one day I was watching Terminator and I realized, what if your kid is John Connor? What if one of your children is actually somebody who will have a massive impact on making the world a better stuff? Milton Highlander just said, that is good conspiracy stuff. I love it. Did you know that conspiracy theory was a term invented by the CIA to cause people to believe they were receiving disinformation and make them second think the things that are true and right in front of them? So at any rate, what is this show going to be about long term? It's going to be about communicating to you in a way that can at least open up your mind to new possibilities, open up your mind to new ways of thinking without any apologies. I've already been banned repeatedly from many different social platforms. Before Elon Musk took over Twitter, before it became X, I had 155,000 followers on Twitter. Wasn't really active, but one day I put up a post in support of Donald Trump. The next day, my account was shut down. Because I refused to post anything on the contrary, eventually they just cleaned out all my followers. They took everything. Now, even though Elon Musk is there and things I'm sure are very different, I don't have an interest. I'm okay. I went to the party. You threw a drink in my face. I'm not coming back to your party. My point in all that is that I think that what's happened is people are more and more afraid to have an opinion. If you want to get attacked, have an opinion. If you want to live a boring life and be a slave to everybody else, do not have an opinion. My belief is we are in a time where more and more people need to rise up, and right or wrong, I don't need you to agree with me. I don't care if you agree with me. What I want you to do, though, is to know you are entitled to have an opinion. Right now, our First Amendment rights are being massively attacked here in the United States. The thought police are attempting to tell us what we can and cannot think and say, let alone where we're allowed to go, even where the places are legal. Obviously, I'm referring a bit to January 6th and all that happened then. I saw a video the other day of people complaining about Donald Trump, and what a horrible human being he was. And the video was amusing to me because this interviewer was saying, okay, I understand you don't like Donald Trump. Why don't you like him? Well, because he's a criminal. What crime has he committed? Oh, he created all this stuff around January 6th. What did he do? The video proof says, if you watch Trump, he said, please be peaceful, obey law enforcement. Yes, protest. It's your right. Go protest, except be peaceful. Do not create any havoc. Do what law enforcement tells you to do. That's not inciting any kind of unrest. It's just the opposite, actually. But it's an attack on our First Amendment rights. With that said, in a moment, I'm going to jump over to a place we call the vault. And inside the vault, I'm able to say what I want to say with a reduction of the likeliness that I'm going to get banned. But you take people like Tucker Carlson, like our Wikipedia friend, and you take people that are speaking out and speaking the truth, and they're getting shut down. So that is what happens when people speak the truth, their truth, if it isn't in alignment with what the popular agenda happens to be. So here's what's going to happen. I pray I gave you some insight during the first hour. During the second hour, we are going to start taking your calls. StudioMoney.info/live guests. We send you to that website for two reasons. Number one, we want you to put your data in. I want to know who I'm talking to. We also want to be sure that your question is interesting. I love you, and I'd love to say hello to you. I just don't want to use this time to get on the air and go, hey, how you doing? I want to know that you've got a question. Next thing is, because this is live, I want to make sure you're interesting. Not only are you interesting, I want to make sure that, unlike my equipment, your equipment is working right. Your camera and your microphone are working properly. So that's the reason we screen all the calls that come live on the air. And then beyond all that, ultimately, we need your information, because if you happen to win the 10 ounces of pure silver, I need to know that I'm giving it to a legitimate entity, that you're a real being. So right before we go to break, here's what's going to happen. We're going to go to break. I'm going to show you a video of Turning Point. We got Turning Point coming up here in Las Vegas next week. I'm going to show you a video of an event that we're doing live. It's happening right now. It's called First Million Irresistible Influence. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It teaches you the skills of how to sell anyone, anything at any time. When you watch me do the process, as I do the process live at our events, you will end up realizing how powerful this stuff is. And then it also teaches you how to make this your first million or your best millions year. The one thing they cannot take away from us is our ability to interact with each other. And when we interact with each other, what happens is that the truth comes out, and the truth always reveals itself. It's impossible to hide it. You shall be known by your fruits. And so what I want you to know is that we are in interesting times. And even though they're kind of scary for a lot of reasons, it's not going to be times that are going to devastate us or destroy us. In fact, I think just the opposite. We're going to see massive growth in ways we've never seen. Gasara and Nasara, financial makeovers that will be beneficial to everybody rather than the current one that's only beneficial to a select few. I was talking about AI. And the last thing I want to say before we go to break is that if you are dealing with any kind of artificial intelligence software, Chat GPT or anything like that, it is only as good as the prompts, meaning if you give a bad prompt, if you ask for something, the AI is going to give you exactly what you asked for, because that's what a computer does. It doesn't have an emotion attached to it. It could have bias based upon who programmed it, who wrote the programs, but it doesn't have any emotion. In other words, it's only going to deliver the open or closed switches that the programmer who wrote the program wants it to do. It doesn't have any specific opinion that it wasn't programmed to have. That's both the blessing and the curse. It's kind of like your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind only does what it's programmed to do. So if you tell your subconscious mind to try to do something, it won't do it because you didn't tell it to do it. You told it to try, which literally you told it to fail. Stay in the process of a never-ending loop. AI is the same way. You've got to give it a proper prompt. When you give it a proper prompt, what happens is it responds accordingly. So we're about to take a break. Your mind is the computer. Your programs to your mind are the prompts. The response you're getting from your mind, the things that you're focusing on, the things that you are putting your attention on are all based on the programs of your mind. If you're not wealthy enough financially, if you're not satisfied in your relationships, if you're not happy with your body, it's because of what's going on in your mind. And what you've got to do is keep throwing noodles against the wall until the noodles stick. Great example right here. Like I said, I was at 268 pounds after my open heart surgery. They thought that it was liquid retention. They put me on diuretics. I hate drugs. And when they put me on the diuretics, I was on the diuretics for about 6 months, didn't see any shift, no changes. And finally, I just said to the doctor, I said, doc, yeah, I may have retained liquids, but I'm also fat. So let's deal with fat like fat's dealt with. I went on a plan. I started eating better. I started exercising even more, and nothing happened. Well, in most instances, if you eat less and move more, you'll lose weight in most instances, unless your body's doing something weird. The doctor said, we don't know what's going on. So I said, okay, then I'm just going to keep experimenting until I find something that works. Got something that works. And if you're not getting what you want, what you're looking for is in a place you haven't looked, always. Let me say that again. What you're looking for is in a place you haven't looked. Interesting. I do my very best to help people with my children, with my sister. I love them, and I give them guidance, and I give them direction, and I help them to be better people. If you're going to be on this program, if you're going to tune in to me and you want to have a better life, I would recommend you listen to the lessons. I would recommend you don't rock the boat and become a burr in the saddle. Somebody that was just banned from the chat just came back under a pseudonym, and now they're bragging about it. Well, what do you think? What result do you think that's going to get you? Let me help you out here. Not what you want. So the new guy is about to be banned. The old guy was banned, and you're going to keep getting banned every time we see you show up because your behavior is not acceptable. And whether it's me or the world, you're going to keep getting banned. And if you don't like what's happening in your world, rather than blame the world, get back and saying, what could I do differently? The person that I'm addressing right now, I know you're listening to the show, be charming. Don't threaten me in private messages. Don't say nasty things to me. It's not pleasing. You should feel lucky it's the top of the hour. I need to take a break. I'm going to stop this spanking on you right now. Hey, if you're not the person I'm spanking, if you're charming, now's your chance to win $13,000 cash and 10 ounces of silver. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll start taking your calls at studiomoney.info/live guests. We'll see you right after this.
Turning point. A total change in direction for the better.
Who here is ready for a turning point? You absolutely have to have one. Put them high.
The 2-day Turning Point seminar is different than any other program in that it does more than just teach you the skills for your relationships, wealth, and power. It also programs you on a subconscious level to put those skills into immediate use.
This weekend is about empowerment. This weekend is about you understanding how to take charge of your own life.
You will learn total control of your thoughts and emotions. How to use PND, or psychoneural duplication, to take on the thoughts and actions of others to produce similar results. Whether it's losing weight, changing habits, being a millionaire.
When you think what a millionaire thinks and you do what a millionaire does, you'll produce similar results.
You will learn to program these powerful tools at a subconscious level for immediate and lasting results.
Your conscious mind is what's called your critical factor. It's the mind you're using right now to determine whether the information I'm giving to you will work for you or not. Your subconscious mind, on the other hand, is merely a computer. It's non-critical. It doesn't even have the ability to make judgment. So all trance, hypnosis, reprogramming is setting aside the critical factor of your conscious mind and non-critically accepting suggestions.
And empowering.
To make a fear vanish, you must experience it fully.
As it helps you create your life exactly the way you want it. Bring your family closer. Find the love of your life. Create strategies for wealth. Learn irresistible influence, and so much more. Because of the intimate nature of this course, seats are very limited. Register now before your life passes you by, and there are no more turning points for you. Tens of thousands of people have learned this information and are using it daily.
You don't get angry if you get fired from your job and you know that within 2 years you will be a multi-millionaire.
It's your time.
There's a way for you to win this game that is different than how you're doing it, and it works.
It's your life.
When you learn how to do that, you become more powerful, and power is for use.
It's your turning point.
Isn't it time for your first million? Wouldn't it be wonderful to be able to do what you love and learn how to monetize that on a 7-figure level? Do you want to know exactly what you need to do and what not to do to have your biggest year ever? If not now, when? First Million. A 2-day subconscious learning experience that both teaches and programs you with the personality traits and habits of multimillionaires. At First Million, you'll learn how to take almost any wealth vehicle to a 7-figure level or better. You'll learn how to stop using vehicles that don't work, are too difficult, or simply unsuited for you. Making money is supposed to be fun. Stop living your life, getting ready to live your life, and start living a life of adventure. First Million was crafted to not just change what you do, it's also going to change who you are. Instead of trying to become a millionaire, you'll learn that you're already a millionaire, even if the money has not yet been deposited in your bank account. Beyond mindsets, you'll learn the actual personality traits of multimillionaires, so you'll naturally do what millionaires do to produce a similar result. One of the key personality traits of a millionaire is charisma. Imagine being able to walk into a room and without speaking a word, have the entire room drawn to you. Imagine others hanging on your every word, wanting to be near you, to be in business with you, and hungry to buy whatever you're selling. First Million will teach you how to use the charisma that politicians, entertainers, CEOs, and celebrities use to move nations and make millions. You'll also learn how to get more done in less time. You'll learn priority management and what the highest and best use of your time is. You'll learn laser-like focus upon IGAs, or income-generating activities, and you'll learn to let go of anything below your pay grade. What if you had more customers than you ever imagined? What if they came right to you and fought to buy from you? At First Million, you'll learn attraction marketing and strategies to get others to pay you for your marketing and advertising before they even purchase your offer. When you attend your First Million, you'll begin to see an overwhelming amount of amazing opportunities all around you. You'll look through the matrix and easily identify target-rich environments. You'll learn dovetailing and stacking strategies to acquire more customers and do more business with the customers you already have. Unless something is sold, no money is made. Whether you're a sales pro, a novice, or even scared to death of selling something, your First Million is going to have you fall in love with influence and enjoy it as the game that it is. When you believe in what you're selling, you're obligated to sell it. You'll learn exact language patterns of influence and persuasion. You'll learn how to get others to ask you for what you're selling and have them believe it was their idea. You'll become dynamically able to use arcing statements, direct links, embedded commands, and so much more. An entire tool belt of selling gambits will be yours after you get to your First Million. As a First Million alumni, you will be clear on what you need to do to GTFM, or get the freaking money. You deserve great wealth, and your First Million will help to raise your self-esteem around the topic of money. The amount of money you make will always be determined by your own self-image. You'll learn what billion-dollar corporations already know about outsourcing, how to get anything below your pay grade done for pennies on the dollar. Your First Million will give you the groundwork to understand presentation skills and the highest paid profession on the planet, public speaking. When you graduate from your First Million, you'll be able to create presentations that inspire with confidence and power. If all that weren't enough, there's so much more. Making your First Million is almost certainly going to require that you manage at least a small team. You'll walk out of the course with the knowledge of how to lead teams and synergistically get more done in less time. Technology has made our lives so much easier as we've learned how to harness it. The First Million course will teach you what is up to date and available in technology so that you can use that cutting-edge technology to get more done and have more fun. You'll also learn how to harness the power of the internet for massive passive profits. Every time you attend your First Million, you'll learn new technology and internet marketing strategies, as these two portions of the class change every time you attend. It's like getting a brand new seminar each time you come. If you're a representative, you may attend Your First Million as often as you like, totally free, with your enrollment in the First Million course. If you're not yet a rep, or if you have not yet invested in Your First Million, enroll now. Everything begins in 5, and you know what you want to say. Go ahead, say it now. Say it out loud. I'm ready for my first million.
Welcome back. We are live in the studio. Glad to have you with me. During this hour of Marshall Sylver Live, I start taking your calls at studiomoney.info/live guests. Get you on the air. If you are selected as the most interesting guest of the day from our callers list, then you're going to receive 10 ounces of pure Marshall Sylver silver for being so interesting, kind of like how life works. I changed the monitor around. I don't have a prompter right now, so I'm not looking through a mirror, and it looks like we got rid of that funny purple color. So at any rate, we are back, and I'm excited to start taking your calls. We have a live event going on right now. It is called First Million Irresistible Influence, and I'm kind of surprised to see our first caller on here, only because I know for a fact he's attending the event. So Joseph, welcome home. Glad to see you, and I am both of you, Evangeline. Thanks for jumping out of the seminar. You guys are funny.
Hey, we are. It's 2 for 1 again, Marshall. Good morning. How are you, and how's everybody else?
My life is blessed. How awesome is the event?
It's pretty good. We just have to not pass on this 13,000 opportunity for us.
Good. So what's your question?
Okay. I've been dealing with this, trying to get it out of my mind, and this financial anxiety. You know, it's like it's the thing that's blocking me off. Like, recently, my sister just died, and so I'm the insurer. I'm basically the life insurance of my family in the Philippines. So there's a lot of financial burden. So I've been almost on a daily basis. I'm trying to just get rid of it out of my mind. So are there any techniques to really get it out and be able to deal with this business and everything else?
I love you. And
Thank you.
I want you to know that I love you because you're lovable. And
Thank you.
I have, as you know, I have a Filipino wife, and
Correct.
I'm very aware that certain cultures, certainly in the Philippines, certainly many of the Latin cultures, have a very strong pressure, even. I'll call it pressure to support the family. You know, you come here to the United States, you work your butt off, but you got family back in the Philippines that's saying, hey, it's not fair. You've got so much. You should send it back to us. You need to help us. We need help. Your family, got to help your family. That's a good concept. It's a good theory. It's not healthy, though. It's just flat out not healthy. I have a lot of money, and I have helped many of my family members for a long time. Unfortunately, what I realized was if you keep helping somebody, number one, they expect the help. They don't just appreciate it, they demand it. And number two, you're not really helping, because what happens is they don't learn how to take care of themselves, and they never do. There's a reason the universe works the way that it works. There's a reason that the universe makes sure that it is survival of the fittest. And so I read a book coming back from Hong Kong, and I may have told you guys, because you're both Inner Circle members, I may have told you about the book. If you haven't read the book, it was like eye-opening to me. It's written by a woman named Ayn Rand. She's the same person who wrote Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. And the book is called The Virtues of Selfishness. Yeah. You actually asked me 2 questions, and I want to point out the 2 questions that I heard. The first question is, you know, how do I not feel so anxious about money? And the second question I heard was, you know, I feel kind of guilty when I'm not sending more money back to my family. So what the virtues of selfishness is about, it all comes down to exactly what you hear when you're on a commercial flight. And what they say is, in the event of a loss of cabin pressure, masks will drop down. Place your mask on first, then assist the person beside you. And the reason you've got to put your mask on first is if you don't put your mask on first, you attempt to help the person beside you who's flailing. If you can't get their mask on fast enough, you pass out, and then you both die. So you put your mask on first. You attempt to help them. If they're flailing to the point where you can't get it on, eventually they're going to pass out. Well, when they're passed out, you can put the mask on them. So I used to, because I made so much money so fast, I used to help everybody that I could help. Not just because I felt obligated, because I enjoyed it. I then realized, though, after doing that for a number of years, that a couple of people that I'd helped more than anybody else, number one, were taking advantage of me, and number two, had gotten to a place where they expected it. And that's not even bad. The worst thing was they didn't know how to take care of themselves. And so I had to ask myself one day, do you really love this family member? And if you really love this family member, you got to stop taking care of them.
Yep.
You got to let them learn how to take care of themselves. And so I know that's a hard thing for my Filipino friends and all of my Mexican friends to hear, because both those cultures in particular have a big track record of sending all their money home to their family in the other country. And again, I'm not going to be popular with people in the Philippines right now. I'm not going to be popular with my friends in Mexico that are letting their siblings or their family members take care of them. Don't do it anymore. If you want to once in a while, yeah, that's great. But let them know this is not a regular thing. Because if it's a regular thing, not only will they expect it, they'll stop being grateful. And you've heard me say this before. If we go out to lunch, I'll buy lunch. I won't even ask. I'll expect to buy lunch. If we go out to lunch again, I'll buy lunch. I'll expect to buy lunch. If we go out a third time and you don't offer to pay for lunch, we won't go out to lunch again. I won't let you buy it. I'll buy it still. I'm going to buy it. I just need you to offer, because I need you to know that I'm not obligated, that I'm doing you a righteous, I'm doing you a solid, and I'm being kind. And I think that's the biggest thing. So that's how to deal with family. And you've got to do it, Joseph and Evangeline. I know both of you guys, your hearts are big. You love your family. You're kind human beings. You're both very, very, very hard workers. And I guarantee you, there are many people in your family, and this isn't a knock against you, because there's many people in my family that don't work hard. And they don't have to work hard. Why? Because you take care of everything. And so that's the first thing. Now, I want to address the second part of your question, though. The second part of your question is, how do you deal with financial anxiety? Ultimately, none of this matters. Ultimately, nothing material is going to matter. Yes, you need to eat. Yes, you need adequate clothing and shelter, but you don't need a nicer car. You don't need anything else. None of this is going to matter. And so there was a point, and I've talked about this before, where in 2013, I was going through really big challenges. I just launched a multi-million-dollar show on the Strip in Las Vegas, and in the first 2 weeks, my mother died. And my mother, I loved her very much. We were very close, and I was a wreck. I was having challenges with management at the Caesars property that I was working at in Vegas. I wasn't happy with the way they were treating me. And I went to my wife and I said, if we shut the show down, we're going to lose over $1 million. If I shut the show down because I'm just not having fun right now, not only will we lose a whole lot of money, we may have to start selling some of our properties. We may have to sell. We had 2 houses at the time. We had numerous cars. And my beautiful bride said, if we sell everything and live in a studio apartment and have 1 car to get around, I don't care as long as I've got you and the kids. And in that moment, I realized that my wife deserved everything I was doing for her and the kids, and that I was going to be okay no matter what. So I think that that's the thing that'll bring you peace, is to realize even if you lost everything, you got everything. You already proved that you could. And so you will do it again. And unfortunately, I think that people go through that up and the down numerous times in their lives. Elon Musk sells PayPal. Sells his interest in PayPal, says $180 million, invests in SpaceX and some other things, ends up being broke again, sleeping on all of his friends' couches for months at a time. Doesn't think about money. So I think the biggest way to get out of the anxiety of money and what finances do to people is to ultimately realize it comes and it goes. That being rich is temporary and being poor is temporary. And if your identity is tied into either state, you're in trouble. So for me, when I have money, I'm grateful. When I don't have money, I find ways to be grateful still. Fair enough?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. You guys get off this phone call. Get back into the seminar.
We want to guess.
Fun.
We want to guess the word, though.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you got here. Oh, you want to guess the word? Oh, that's what this is all
That's
about.
what it's all about. Yes.
All righty. So we're still on money. What is your guess of the secret word of the day worth $13,000?
Yeah. A millionaire entrepreneur will take care of everything. And the word is entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur.
Oh, that's good. What makes you think it's entrepreneur? What did I say? What clue did I give that you think it's entrepreneur?
Well, all of the challenges that's happening, an entrepreneur will deal with that.
Yeah, that is a remarkable guess. Not correct, but it's a remarkable guess.
All right. Yeah, okay.
All right, we're getting off.
You were this close. You were so close. You were this far away. But
Okay.
awesome. You guys are
Thank
fantastic. Tara, and I look forward to seeing you when I return to the seminar this afternoon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye for now. Good job. Got to swing the bat. So these are two folks. Not only are they Inner Circle, our $70,000 lifetime program that we offer up, they're also right now at First Million Irresistible Influence, snuck away from the seminar to get on the air to take a guess of the word. So I think that's fantastic. Next caller. Let's see. Who do we got? Brandon Rice. Welcome home. Glad you're here.
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm always awesome, man. It's a choice.
That's always correct.
What do you do? What do you do?
So I do e-commerce full time. I started back in 2021 during COVID. Everybody was starting to buy offline or online. Before that, I worked in law enforcement for about 6 years. I was working 70-hour weeks. Found, seeing that was going, I got into that. Did very well the first year. Was able to quit my full time, and I've been doing e-commerce since. And just recently added Amazon. So
I love it. What kind of products do you sell?
Literally anything and everything. I am surrounded by boxes at all times. So behind me,
well, I like your commitment. Where are you calling in from?
So I'm actually on Kentucky side, but I'm about 5 minutes south of Cincinnati, Ohio.
Awesome. We have a lot of friends of the program, members of our tribe in Ohio, also in Kentucky. My great friend Andrew Schlag is from Kentucky. So what's your question?
So I guess in regards to that, a lot of my business, I have about 90% is automated at this point. I've been fortunate enough to get it to that spot where I have extra time now. I'm trying to figure out, I don't like being bored. I do have 4 little ones. I got twins that are 4 years old and 2 older kids. They keep me busy with all their extra, like you were talking earlier with the dance and everything. There's always something going on every day of the week. But I know I can build more on the financial side for my family to make sure they're taken care of. I'm just trying to figure out at this point with economy, everything else, what is the best thing for me to do or ideas for me as an additional income stream? Would it be a course based off of, the e-com stuff? I've been doing it for a while. I see a lot of courses out there though. Or would it be something like real estate or something, which I have a little bit under my belt with that a few years prior to me starting this, but just trying to think of just another stream that I can do outside of that. And hopefully that'll help other people too.
Yeah. So the answer to your question is all the above. How much are you making right now? How much are you earning?
Right about 75 a year.
Got it. 75 a year. How much time does your e-commerce business take you?
Less than 15 hours a week, 10, 15
Good.
hours a week at most.
Lovely. If you doubled the amount of hours, would it double your income?
No, I don't think it would.
We have something that we teach, a concept called target-rich environments. And what a target-rich environment is a would and a could. It's people that would want to buy what you're selling. They're interested in what you're offering, and they could afford it. Doesn't do you any good to offer things to people that they don't want, no matter how much money they have. And it doesn't do you any good to offer things that people want if they're broke and can't buy. So you've got to figure out what's the would and could. I will tell you that if you are successful right now at $75,000 a year in your e-commerce business, then one of the things that I would tell you is, what do those 15 hours a week look like? What is it that you're doing during those 15 hours a week?
I pack at least 1 box per week, sometimes 2. That and just going through. I mean, it's very rare for returns, but basically just following through on the Amazon side, Seller Central, just going through different stuff throughout the week. So it's all either computer time or packing time to get stuff out the door.
Got it. What if you hired, so those 15 hours a week, if you're making $75,000 a year, let's call it, let me do the math real fast. $1,500 a week, 15 hours is about a third of what time an entrepreneur normally puts into their business. So you're making $1,000. That time that you're spending those 15 hours a week are costing you about $300. Do you think you could hire somebody to handle those 15 hours for $300?
Yes, I probably
Yeah,
could. I would just have to find somebody locally.
yeah, for sure. So first and foremost, that's what you want to do. You understand the business. Packing boxes is beneath you. It's below your pay grade. And you've got to start letting go of the things that are below your pay grade. Now, you asked a different question. I want to address this side, and then I'll go back to the question you asked. So what I would recommend you do is, if I've got something that's working, then what I want to figure out first is, how do I multiply that? And I asked, if you did double the amount of time, would it double your income? You said no. So what I'm guessing is you feel maxed out on your income level based upon what you're putting out. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I could. It's just their fees and stuff. So I make like 60% off everything I throw in, roughly. They take about 40% off of anything you throw on. So yes, I could invest more money for more products to put on. I would just have to wait until summertime, because those seasons changes, those products change. So you got to kind of you have like a 60, 90-day window for whatever you throw up. So I guess to answer it, yes, I would be able to do it. I would just have to do more, I guess, your target marketing type thing, the rich target targeting that you were talking about. I guess I'd have to do that with products almost, to make sure I'm getting the right thing I could sell. So yes, I could get more products there to increase that with that time. I would just have to make sure I'm getting the right stuff on there.
Yep. The idea that I make a certain amount of money doing a certain thing, the question always is, well, can I do more of that certain thing, or could I do that certain thing in a different way so that that different way would make me more money? And you just hit it on the head. You get 60%, roughly. Let's call it half, just for easy math. You get half of the money that comes in from the things that you sell. The challenge is, if that's true, then you're selling about $150,000 worth of goods in the course of a year, if you're making about $75,000 in those affiliate type commissions. And so you either need to find things that have a higher profit margin, or they could have less of a profit margin, but sell for a higher ticket. It's the kids selling watermelons alongside the road for $1 million. Someone comes along and says, "Kid, how do you expect to sell a watermelon for $1 million?" The kid smiles and says, "I only got to sell one." And that's true.
Very true.
And there are people, I'm one of them, that if I saw a kid selling a watermelon along the side of the road for $1 million, and I could afford to buy it for $1 million, just for the sake of giving that kid that experience, I would buy it for $1 million. If I don't even like Girl Scout cookies. I don't eat them. I don't want to eat them. I'm not interested in eating them. But if I pass by a girl selling Girl Scout cookies at a little stand on the street, I'll buy all of her cookies. I'll load them up in my car. I'll have one of my staff members drive to a homeless area of town and distribute the cookies, because I want to give the little girl the experience of selling at that level, so she knows that's a reality. So for you, what I'd recommend is that because you figured out how to market things, you figured out a system that works. $75,000, well, not a big amount, is still nothing to be sneezed at. And in Kentucky, you can survive on it and take care of your family.
Yes,
What I would recommend you do is that you consider some other affiliate streams. This program, we have an affiliate stream with this program. And what it is I'm going to give you 2 tickets to Turning Point. The tickets are worth $3,000 a piece. I'm going to give you, because you called into the show, 2 free tickets to Turning Point, and invite you to come join me in Las Vegas or Southern California, where we do the events anytime in the next coming months. First and foremost. The second thing is, when you come to Turning Point, you're going to love it. You're going to absolutely love it. It's going to be phenomenal. You go, "Oh my God, this stuff was so great." If you look in the chat or you talk to anybody, including the 2 folks that preceded you on this program, they went to Turning Point. They loved it, and they loved it so much that they bought additional things from me. Well, if you refer people to this broadcast, they love the broadcast, they come to Turning Point, and they buy from me, you get a 30% commission on anything they bought. Doesn't seem like a lot, but we sell an event that those 2 people that were just on, Evangeline and Joseph, that sells for $70,000 a person. So if 2 people bought that at $70,000 per person, and you referred them to the broadcast, they came to Turning Point, and then they bought, that's $42,000. That's more than half your year from 2 people.
Yeah. No doubt. That's amazing.
So what I want to do is Oliver Wendell Holmes said a mind once expanded cannot contract to its original state. That once you know a new truth, you can't go back. I say a wallet once expanded will never contract to its original state. You get your first $21,000 commission check from me, and you didn't really have to do much work. You didn't have to answer the phone. All you did was you told a couple friends there in Kentucky or Ohio, hey, there's this guy. I've been watching his program. He's really interesting. He makes a lot of sense. He was very useful to me. They come listen to this program for free. They say, I want to go to Turning Point. They get on the air. I give them 2 tickets. They buy Inner Circle. You get a check for $42,000, and you say, wow, thank you. We had somebody else that was asking in the chat, what's your affiliate program? There's what it is. We not only offer 30% commissions first tier, we also give 3% second tier. So imagine that you sent a number of people to Turning Point, and some of them invested in our back-end programs, Brandon, and then some of them also referred other people. Well, not only will they get a 30% commission, you get a 3% override on anything that their referrals bought. So it could end up being a passive revenue stream for you. So you asked me, the question was, what do I think people should be focused on right now? 2 things. They should be focused on a relatively passive revenue stream. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is you need to turn your e-commerce business into a passive revenue stream. And if the 15 hours a week are spent purely on customer service or on fulfillment, packing up boxes and sending them out, it's beneath your pay grade. You need to stop doing that. You need to take a couple steps backwards, hire that person, and I don't know, what would be good wages or what would be a living wage there in Kentucky, but I'm guessing if you gave somebody $300 a week for 30 hours a week of work,
yeah,
then I guess that's not quite right, but for 20 hours a week of work, that's $15 an hour. And at $15 an hour, that's decent, and it might be something that they find fun to do. It might be your neighbor. It might be the housewife staying at home that lives next door to you. So you got to get out of that. It's beneath your pay grade. And then the second thing you've got to do is you want to figure out, how do I advance this with what I'm doing? So I'll give you one insight. I'm purely selfish mode as I'm telling you this. If every single box you sent out, if every single product you sent out had a pre-printed card that said, check out Marshall Sylver Live, it's totally free, you're going to like it, you could win thousands of dollars in cash and prizes. If that's all you did was added that to every package going out, then you could conceivably get some people on the broadcast to make you money. If every single product that you advertised or you promoted also had some kind of a tie-in to tie people into the show, now you've got an additional revenue stream. What do I think are going to be the best revenue streams? Information marketing is some of the highest profit margins of anything you sell. You said, maybe I'll create a course. I see a lot of these e-commerce courses being sold.
Yeah.
In due respect, I don't know you. I like you. You're not ready to do that. And I'll tell you why. $75,000 a year isn't enough for you to be able to tell that story. So the first thing I want to do is build up that business, build up your e-commerce business. So you're making $500,000 a year. Now you've got a story to tell. Now you've got a course to create. Before that, you really don't. At the same time, though, I would be looking, if I were you, to figure out some kind of, we call it a non-traditional revenue stream. I would figure out a means to create a non-traditional revenue stream, such as putting a business card sized card in every single package that goes out, inviting people to come watch this show. Or, maybe you've got some other business. Maybe you've got an MLM that sells supplements, that you drop that card in every single box because they are your customers. And then finally, I realize that if you're doing Amazon or any of the drop shippers, they don't really like you promoting things not on their platform because they're not able to get their money. So at the same time, what I would say is find ways to delicately promote whatever it is, the other thing that you want to promote, but at the very least, figure out a way to make sure you're getting their data. It might be a card dropped in every package that simply says, go to this landing page website to receive your free gift. And the free gift might be some sample of another product that you sell. So that's what I would do if I were you, Brendan.
That's awesome. Thank you for all that insight. I 100% agree. I never even thought about the business card thing or the card with the stuff on it. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean
anytime I
that's
buy,
hundreds of products go out every week, so that's awesome.
no, it's huge. You know, anytime I buy a product, uh, that the business is thriving, every single time they ship it to me, there's loads of other offers inside the box.
Yeah.
You know, take a lesson from Jeff Bezos. You go to Amazon, you buy something. The moment you go to buy something, you click add to cart. What does it do? It
Start
says
showing you
people
other
that,
stuff.
yes,
Yep.
people that bought this also bought that.
Yep.
So what you want to do is never stop selling. And the way that you've got to get moving is you've got to collect the data. So at the very least, even if you don't tell them to watch this broadcast, you got to put something in the box
Yeah.
that they go to a website, they put their data in, and you get the data, because now it's not just running ads, it's not just, you know, doing what you do. Now you're developing a customer base that you can come back to with additional offers at no cost to you.
Yeah, it's like creating email list type thing and then email marketing with that based on makes sense. Makes
Absolutely.
sense. Awesome. That's
Hey
cool.
man, how'd you find my show?
So actually I seen an advertisement for it on Facebook, where I seen it. I mean, I followed you prior to that. First time I seen you was, oh man, 6 years ago at AREA Summit. You came and
Oh,
did
really?
something there. I think you were just there again this year, but I saw you the prior time
Yeah.
to this year when I
Yeah.
first saw you there. So I followed
Yeah,
you since then.
Vina
Vina
Cox.
Jones. Yep, Vina
Yeah,
Jones
Vina
Cox.
Jones Cox. Yeah, she's awesome. I love that woman. She's amazing. She's a phenomenal real estate investor. Clearly, you have an interest in that as well. So
Yeah,
all
she's a
good stuff.
hustler. She
She's
is
definitely a hustler and a good person.
for sure. I do
Awesome, brother.
have a guess on the word for today.
Go ahead.
Perseverance.
Good word. Not the word, but that's a good word.
Okay. I know a lot of stuff early on you were talking about. It seemed like perseverance matched with you just having to get over everything and just keep pushing on.
Yeah, that's a good guess. That's a really good guess. You know,
Okay.
we were conducting a lesson yesterday at the live event that I'm teaching right now. And one of the things that inside of that lesson is I would give clues to get people moving in a certain direction. And a couple of people in the audience started saying, "Oh, now I understand how your brain works." So what's going to happen on this show for sure is that as the words keep getting revealed and people start realizing how I give clues, you're going to start noticing exactly how I give clues, and it's going to get easier and easier and easier for people to guess. So even though it's slow right now, will people figure me out over time? I promise you, we're going to have winners once, twice, 3 times a week, guaranteed.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
Awesome,
I mean,
brother.
I got
Thank
enough
you.
value from the call, so I mean, I appreciate this. It gives me a whole another thing to look forward to. So I
You tell
appreciate it
all
a
your
lot.
friends. The more,
I
the
will for
merrier.
sure. Yep, I'll
Awesome.
sign up today for that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, friend. Take care, Brandon. People are just good. People are good. In our heart of hearts, I believe that they're good and they want to do well. You know, on that note, again, we had our first time, and it was bound to happen sooner or later. We had to give a spanking out today. And what I want you to know is we train people on how to treat us. We teach people how to treat us. Relationships are built on agreements. And if the quality of those agreements is solid, then the relationship is good. If the agreements aren't solid, the relationship is bad. We don't allow negativity. We don't allow people that consistently, if you have a challenge, you point it out once, I'm not going to spank you. If just about everything that comes out of your mouth is negative, I'm probably going to get around to spanking you. And if you private message me with BS, guaranteed I'm going to spank you. Then I'm going to kick you out of my life. That's how it works. That's life. But I want you to know once again, it's not the world. The world's not going to change. People aren't going to be different. If everybody seems to treat you like crap, guess what? It might not be them. It might be you. Because if everybody's doing it, chances are everybody's being stimulated in a specific way. I have 10 siblings. My mom birthed 11 children. I love them. They're amazing human beings. They are high quality people. The difference between them and me is I've made a lot of money, not a little bit of money. I've made over $600 million and growing in my career. And you would think if you were my sibling that you would say, gosh, if that's what he's doing, that appears to work. Let's do that. That's what I'm doing right now. Alex Hermosi, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, people that have massive social media presence repeatedly preach the same thing: content, content, content. A friend of mine, I was talking to him. He said, "How often do you post?" I said, "Once a day." He said, "I post 10 times a day." And I won't disclose his name. He's a major influencer. He said, "I post 10 times a day." I said, 10 times a day. How do you have quality content 10 times a day? He said, 9 times it's crap. He said, but the 10th one is really good. He said, we don't get much attention on the crap. We get a lot of attention on the good one. So that's why I do it. Reminded me of venture capitalists. A venture capitalist will have $100 million to invest. They'll invest $10 million each in 10 different companies. 9 of those companies go bankrupt. They lose their entire $10 million, $90 million bucks. People say, why in the world then would you still invest if you lost $90 million? It's because the 10th one makes them $1 billion. And that really is it in social media. That's kind of it in life in general. You've just got to keep throwing noodles against the wall. You just got to keep testing what works. You probably noted that if you've been watching the show for the full 2 hours, you've noted that my color looks right, or at least better. And what it is I took the prompter back off the camera because the reflection's hitting the prompter for some weird reason. The thing that I know is that sometimes you got to take a couple steps backwards to take a flying leap forward. Sometimes you've got to quit your job, be hungry, be desperate to get creative enough to actually make things happen in your life. Sometimes you got to have a bad marriage or two so that you know what a really good marriage is. So once again, I want to compliment my bride. She's the best decision I ever made in my entire life. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. When we met, though, she asked me, because she knew I'd been divorced twice, she said, do you think you'd ever want to get married again? And I said, oh, hell no. I'm not the marrying type, apparently. It's not a good thing for me. And instead of getting upset, she remained charming, just like the lesson that I'm given. She remained charming. She said, okay. I remember one day, probably about 2 weeks or 3 weeks after we had that conversation about never wanting to be married, somebody asked me, a friend of mine said, Marshall, I've never seen you so happy. I've never seen you so much in love. When are you getting married? I said, none of your business. Erica was sitting beside me. She put her hand on my shoulder. She said, whether Marshall and I are ever legally married or not, we will be together for life. Beautiful, sexy, and brilliant. Very smart. In that moment, I realized that it wasn't marriage that I was opposed to. It was divorce that I was opposed to. And so, as they say, the rest is history. 17 years later, still the best decision I ever made in my entire life. And I am missing her, as you can probably tell. Hey, we got another guest coming up, and I'm going to change up the order a little bit, only because I'm going to do my best to get through at least 2 more calls. Michael, stay right where you are. I'm going to come to you. I just had somebody jump online that I haven't chatted with for a bit. I adore this woman. She is an amazing talent, remarkable marketer. She is a hard worker, massively loyal. Shelly Turner, welcome to the show. I am so glad you are with me. You are loved.
Well, hey there. You're loved right back.
I appreciate that. What's going on?
Not a whole lot. Staying really busy. But my question to you specifically was, when you see an opportunity that's fading, how do you build back that confidence? Because I think in my case, I help people all the time in entrepreneurship and help them build businesses. And I'm actually falling into a trap where I'm like, you're not smart enough to do that. You're not talented enough to do that. You don't have the motivation to do that. That's not meant for you. There's plenty of other people that got it on lock. Why are you trying to get in that? And so I'm really having like a crisis of confidence. And I'd love to hear from you some suggestions, advice on how to just get out of there, get out of that space and get into that space I need to be able to figure out what I'm going to do next and how I'm going to do it.
You asked two questions, and it seems to be the theme of the day. The first question is, what do you do if you find yourself in an opportunity that's not panning out the way that you wanted it to pan out? And then the second question, though, was personal. What do you do when you have a crisis of consciousness? What do you do when you start having those self-doubts come into you? And I'll answer the first one with an analogy. Most people lose all of their money when they come and gamble in Vegas. That's how the town was built. The ones that win realize that no matter how good you are at gambling, it's gambling. And you could be the world's greatest card counter. You could be, you could know Baccarat upside down. And sometimes the cards are just against you. So you got to be smart enough to cut losses. Mm-hmm. And what I do, my criteria for cutting a loss, it's not fun anymore. The thing that I was doing just isn't fun. And I usually give myself a parameter to stay inside of. I'm going to keep this up for however long, and then I'm done. So this show's a good example. My wife asked me, she said, Marshall, you're committing to 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. You like your time freedom. Don't you think that's going to be too big a commitment? Maybe just do it once a week, one day a week. And I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it 90 days. And in those 90 days, if we don't get it up to 1,000 people live in 90 days, I'm done. No matter how much I like it, no matter how many lives I've changed, no matter how much money we make, I'm done. If we don't get it to 1,000 people, because that's the outcome. I said, then 3 months after that, if we don't get it up to 10,000 people live within 6 months, I'm done. And then the final benchmark is at the end of a year, if it's not at 100,000 people live every time we broadcast, then I'm done. It's not the highest and best use of my time. The other question, though, so you got to have benchmarks. You got to say, okay, here's my line in the sand. Here's what I expect. Here's what I want to do. It could be a dollar amount. It could be a number of contacts like this show is. It could be the idea of it's just not fun. I'm not having fun. I don't like this anymore. I thought I was going to. I don't like it. I know you. You're very, very, very loyal. I don't know what your circumstance is now because we haven't talked for a long time. I know the last time we chatted, though, your circumstances, you were working for a company. You were being paid okay, not great, by your own admission. You're being paid okay, except you love it. You love it. And you love the people you work with. You love the people you're helping out. That's all well and good, except that's not what's best for Shelley. And you've got to stop and say, what's best for Shelley? That's first and foremost. On the second question, how do you get out of your head and stop the self-defeating conversations going on in your brain? Is the first thing I do when stuff's happening that's not great. Again, we got on the show today. I'm first time on this rig. You understand what it's like to do this kind of broadcast because you've been doing them for years. The prompter's given me grief I've never seen it give before. Somehow there's light getting reflected inside of it that was creating a great discoloration on me. So when we went to the video break, I just got rid of the prompter for now. And although I'm having to look down the barrel of the camera so that you can see I'm looking at you, I'm not actually looking at you because you're over here on my monitor. And I know you know that too. So you deal with what emerges, except you pay close attention to whether or not it wasn't fun. That said, I also know that, again, whatever happens, and that's a good lesson for the people watching this show. Also, though, I take charge of what I can take charge of, and I surrender to the rest until I can take charge of it. The negative thoughts that pop up in my brain have to do with me thinking I'm not enough. I'm enough. My prompter's screwing up. It's not me. It's my prompter right now. Am I smarter than the prompter? I pray I am. Right now, I'm not. Right now, it's got me. Right now, it's winning, but it won't win forever. I'll get it. I make sure I surround myself with people like me that can build you up every single day. They can remind you how exceptional you are. And I know you know this. You're exceptional, Shelley. You have transformed the lives of thousands and thousands of people with your optimism, with your marketing intelligence, with your stick-to-itiveness, with your encouraging voice. You're that person. What I don't think is that you've got enough people saying that into your ear on a regular basis right now because you work for somebody else. And unfortunately, and I'm guilty of this too. I do my very best to compliment people when things are going well. And sometimes I forget and I only give them input or feedback when it's not right. And so you got to remember to also get that for yourself. And so how you get out of your head and get back into your life is you say, what's one thing I'm doing right? If I recall, and I won't get into the names, you work for a marketing company, and I believe you, if I saw your posts correctly, you moved from overall, and now you're handling mostly an email type software and process. Is that right?
Actually, I was moved up to over all the software.
Oh, good. Phenomenal. It's also, though, potential Peter principle. We get promoted to our own level of either incompetence or disinterest. Right?
I think you pegged it exactly right.
Yeah, so we get promoted to our own levels of incompetence or disinterest. What do I mean by that? I'm a great salesperson. And because I'm a great salesperson, my company promotes me to sales manager. I'm not much on managing people, but I understand salespeople because I'm one of them. And so I do decently as a sales manager. Because I do decently as a sales manager, they promote me to operations. I don't know anything about operations. I don't even care about operations. All I want to do is go out and make sales. That's what I'm really good at. So now I'm in a job that I really don't even like, let alone have the skill set for. So I'm not that great at it. And because I'm not that great at it, I don't get promoted anymore. Even if I wanted to, I don't get promoted because it's not a good fit for me. I don't get fired because the company knows I'm an asset and I've always performed well and I did a great job at the lower levels, so they don't want to let me go. But they also don't want to demote me because they think that I won't accept that and it'll feel bad, and they don't want to put me back in a place that I was actually happy, even at less money, because that's what's going on. Did I describe your circumstance at all?
You are so very close. You just about pegged it exact.
So tell me what would make it exact.
Demoting. I'm
Good.
in a position of demotion.
Good. So does that mean that you would like to be demoted?
No, it doesn't. I would like to have the skills that I need to be able to maintain what I have. But, it's if you tell someone to bake a cake, but you don't give them the skills and the resources to do that, it's very difficult to get even started. And my skills, as far as what I was doing before, I think were outstanding. And if I could get just a little bit of oomph and positivity on, let us help you understand what we need you to do. I'm not getting it. What I'm getting is you're not doing it. And it's like, but can you help me a little? What do you want? And how do I manage this in a way that works for everyone? But, sometimes if you don't have the skill, and I'm trying, me, there's not a challenge you can throw at me that I won't try to succeed. Yes. So I'm stuck in that position of I'm trying so hard and just kind of running up against a brick wall.
You said you got promoted to a different position, and you used the word promoted. And I want to have you put this into your being and ponder it, roast it over a little bit, that maybe it wasn't a promotion. Maybe it was just a move.
Yeah.
Right. And because the reason I want to frame it that way is if you call it a promotion and the position is not right for you and you move into another position, it seems like a demotion.
Yeah.
And so if I don't call the thing that happened a promotion, then I can't be demoted because I wasn't promoted.
Well,
and so
I think there's a second layer to that too, Marshall, which is, oh my God, I'm failing.
I didn't fail at my marriages. They weren't the right place for me. Mm-hmm. I didn't fail at the 8 jobs and 8 apartments I went through in 2 years before I found my true calling. I didn't fail. They weren't what was right for me. And I'm glad they didn't work out because I would have been miserable. I don't know what's going on with my 2 ex-wives. I pray they're really, really, really happy. All I know is that I would never have recognized how happy I could be if I hadn't gone through those experiences. So no matter what happens, you're getting more clear on what you like, what you don't like. You're getting clear about what you're good at or what you're not good at. But I think there's something else here. I think you don't want to be good at these new tasks. I don't think you really want to excel in the things that are being asked of you because they're not what you want to do. And if you do the things that you don't want to do really well, guess what happens? You get stuck doing more of it.
Yeah.
And so I think that you need to do a really good self-inventory check and say, is it that I'm not doing well? Or is it really that I just don't really want this new position? I don't want these new responsibilities. I'm not great at them. I don't even want to learn how to be great at them. Because one of the things that I know about you, if you want to be great at something, you don't need the company. You don't need your boss or your manager. You don't need anybody to tell you how to be great at it. You'll figure out how to go out, get the information, get the training, find the experts, and you'll figure out how to be great at it. But what I don't think you're good at is admitting you don't want it. I don't think you know how to say no very well.
I think you got that right too.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think that, with this renewed knowledge that you've got to get specific. If one of my teammates came to me and said, I don't really like this position, I think I would be better over here, I'm going to listen to them because they know themselves. I have a teammate, that just came on board, and the position isn't exactly what it was when he first got here, although it will keep expanding. In the meantime, though, I've given him things to do. He's a salesperson with not enough leads coming in right now. And so I've given him other things to do, and he doesn't complain. He just does it. And I've realized this guy is way more than a salesperson. He's somebody that no matter what I ask him to do, he instantly does it joyfully and just gets it done.
Mhm.
And I think that's you. That's who you are. But what I did say, though, was he does it joyfully. And I think part of what's happening right now is you're just wearing thin. And
Yeah.
you're tired of you're tired of getting beat up. You're tired of getting
You got
told
it.
what's wrong.
I'm tired, and not only am I tired, I'm tired of failing day after day after day, and just not knowing even the resource to go to or the thing to say to get someone to acknowledge that I'm having trouble and to find a way to help me.
So I'm going to put one last thing out for your consideration. And here's the last thing. You have a lot of knowledge. You know a lot of people. You have connected to a lot of really stellar marketers.
Yeah.
And I think this may be the time that Shelley Turner should consider working for herself.
Okay.
That Shelley Turner, because I know you work for obviously a marketing agency, and I won't say it. If you want to say it, you can. If you don't want to say it, I don't care. But I think that with all of your knowledge and all of your ability and everything that you're doing, my guess is you could replace the income that you're making right now fairly rapidly if you just had the courage to go out on your own.
I think you might be right. I think that's what I've been hem-hawing
Hold
around.
on. Hold. You said I might be right?
Yeah. I think I've been hem-hawing around about exactly what you said.
Yeah, I know you are. And again, that's why this show is so important to me.
And I think it's loyalty as well. There's a loyalty factor there as well that I can't quite, it's hard after putting so much into this company and being such just a part of I don't want to say I'm like, I'm the reason and I'm the one.
No, you certainly are one of the foundational building blocks. You were there in the beginning. You helped them through all that growth period. You stuck around after the founder sold the company, and you're working hard for the new owners. All of that is true. I also know things change. I had a house manager here at the Palace in Las Vegas that had been with me for 15 years. And toward the end, like, she started flying off the handle about things. And I adore this human being. I pray she still thinks we're friends because I really appreciated this person. She was good to me. She was good to my family for years. It just got to the point where we weren't a good fit anymore. And so we moved on. And she's working for another family now. We don't really hear from her. Although if we need anything, we just call her and say, hey, how do we do this? Or, where do we find that? And she gives us the answers. So your idea of loyalty is sticking around. Whereas it's also a loyal person that comes to you, as she did with me. She came to me and said, we're just not suited anymore. Things have changed and I need to move on. And while I missed her and I haven't been able to replace her yet, I knew that it was time for her to move on. Yeah. And so because I was never going to fire her because that's how much she meant to me. I'm glad she quit. I'm really glad she quit. So because it wasn't good for either one of us at that point. So right. I want you to know that that's another option. That although, yes, I would agree, because I know your background, I know the circumstance. You've done phenomenal things for this company. It just may be a season. It may be time to move on to a different season, not just for you, also for them. And because they love you and because you have been loyal, it may be that they won't fire you.
Yeah.
And it may just be that you got to grab the bull by the horns. In fact, not maybe. I'm going to go so far as to say, based on what you've already told me today, it's time. You need to make it time.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for acknowledging my fear and my worries and helping me to think of ways to work through them.
You are awesome. You are loved, Shelley. And I look forward to seeing you again at a turning point very soon.
I can't wait. I love the one that I went to before and can't wait to get back out there, but I'm not coming in the summer because that was difficult for me.
Vegas is hot, baby. Vegas is hot. So maybe you should take a look at coming in May. May would be a good time.
All righty. And do I get to guess the word? Do I get to?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, endurance.
Nope. Close, though. Close. You take care. Hey, we got time for one more call. I made a promise. Is he still with us? Michael Moore, you are live on the air. Welcome home.
Hey, Marshall. How you doing?
I'm always awesome.
Great.
What's your question?
My question is, how high on the list of things to deal with past negative thoughts, like Shelley was talking about, how high on the list of things can hypnosis help somebody?
Everything. It can help not only change your beliefs and your programs and the way you view the world and frame the world. Every single function of our body is psychosomatic, meaning our brain tells our body what to do. That was the reason I was so frustrated in not taking the fat off, is I knew I was doing the things physically that my body needed to do, but my body was working in defense and it wasn't letting the fat come off because it went into a defense mechanism. I see that you are CEO of Foods Alive, so you understand what I'm talking about. You're nodding your head when I'm talking about, food and health and all of that, because that's your business. So hypnosis is ultimately everything's hypnosis. Hear that again. Everything's hypnosis. Whether or not I hold something to be true or not is my choice. No matter what evidence, no matter what proof, no matter what the world's screaming at me, we have people right now who refuse to believe that the government is as corrupt as it is. Right. We have people right now because who wants to believe that our own government hates us? Which, frankly, I think many of the people inside of our government do. I think that they're selfish. I think that they're out for themselves. I think there's a handful of people that really do love our country. They really do love us as citizens because they love people in general. But I think that there's such overwhelming proof of that corruption inside of our government that if somebody doesn't see it, they don't want to see it. So yes, hypnosis can help you in every area. And then on the psychosomatic side of things, on psychosomatics, yes, your brain controls whether your heart beats, it controls whether you have anxiety, it controls whether or not you lose weight, it controls whether or not any number of things occur. So hypnosis is definitely a very powerful, powerful answer. Where are you calling in from?
Waterloo, Indiana, from my home.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Well, so glad to have you. We're wrapping up today's show, but you stick around because everybody's going to vote overnight, and the winner of the 10 ounces of pure silver will be announced tomorrow morning.
And the word I have is adaptability.
Good word, but not the word.
Okay.
Thank you. You're very welcome. I'm about to reveal the word right now. So, hey, it's been a great show. We dealt with some technical challenges at the top of the show, and we got through them because in life you deal with what emerges. Not appreciating where you are is a waste of time. You must appreciate where you are now, because where you're at later will be where you're at now then. 4 callers on today's show. You get to vote on who gets the 10 ounces of pure silver. Joseph, Brandon, Shelley, and Michael. So go into the chat on the platform that you are on. Let us know who your vote for the 10 ounces of pure silver is for the most interesting conversation of the day. And tomorrow I will announce whether it was Joseph, Brandon, Shelley, or Michael who won the silver bar. $13,000 cash was up for grabs. Nobody said the secret word of the day. So what that means is that tomorrow another $500 will be added. $13,500 will be added to the total. The word of the day, I said it a bunch of times, and although there might have been some guesses, nobody really got around it. So I guess I'm going to have to be more blatant on what the clues are. I said teeny tiny changes, and it's so little, it's almost not even noticeable. I gave a lot of references to tiny things. The word of the day was chosen by my kids, by the way, minuscule. Secret word of the day, worth $13,500. What would you do with $13,500 falling into your lap tomorrow? Well, maybe we'll find out tomorrow when you join me on the show. I'm Marshall Sylver. You are totally loved. Tell at least 2 people today that you barely know that they are loved. Get at least 5 hugs today because they may need it more than you do. Until we chat, celebrate life, and I'll see you soon. Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show coming up 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. I'm going to give you content, information, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice for having it all. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. So stay tuned.